most of the time people think that discipline and punishment are the same thing. So like, isn't it the same thing? Punishing and discipline? Actually, it's not. You know, punishment and discipline actually will give you two different results when you're dealing with behavior from your children, trying to stop them from doing some things. So discipline, really, I'll talk about the difference between them. Discipline is really based on training your children, teaching them what to do and how to do something in order to encourage them to engage in positive behavior. And the goal is to make them feel better in the end, about learning something and about behaving better. Now, punishment is based on the fact that children need to suffer. They need to feel worse. They need to feel pain, shame, and humiliation in order to learn how to behave properly. So as you can see, those are two different things, punishment versus discipline. Discipline, you're training. Punishing is definitely what it says. The goal is to punish a child. Okay? No difference. Discipline focuses on the desired positive behavior. So when you're disciplining a child, your goal is to really show them and teach them the right thing to do. I want to teach you what I want you to do. Now, punishment is focused on the negative behaviors that has already occurred. So when you're punishing a child, you're not really interested in teaching them how to behave or the behavior you want to see. You're really focusing on stopping the behavior that's happened or happened already. Okay? See the difference there? Discipline. I want to teach them what I want them to do. I want them to stop jumping off of the couch. I'm going to teach them what to do instead of doing that. Punishment. I'm not going to teach them how to sit down or talk about sitting down. I'm going to smack them on the butt, talk to them about don't jump off the couch. Don't jump off the couch. Don't. So that's the difference between that. Another one, discipline helps children calm down. The goal is to help them calm down. Punishment, your goal is to control the behavior through power and fear. As a punishment, I'm going to punish you. If you don't stop, I'm going to punish you to stop this behavior. Hey there, Michelle. I'm recording a video here. Thanks for joining, talking about the difference between discipline and punishment. Sometimes lots of parents think it's the same thing, but it's really not. It actually gets two different results for my children. So just talking about that briefly. Now, the other thing is discipline teaches children positive alternatives. So when you're disciplining your child, you're teaching them, when it says discipline, you're teaching them alternative ways to do what they're doing. So your goal is to teach them how to do something, to train them, to teach them, to train them, to teach them. So two key words for discipline. Punishment usually just makes children angry, resentful, aggressive, or fearful of you. It's taught them those things. It's not really teaching them not necessarily how to not engage in the behavior or what to do instead of doing what you don't want them to do, but it ends up making the children angry, aggressive, and ends up actually kind of working against you as a parent. So now discipline, so as you can see, they're very different when you think about it. And when I think about punishing a child, I'll give you some examples. Punishment. I mean, it's very, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with punishment. I'm going to spank them. I'm going to just ground you. I'm going to just take something away. That's when you're focusing on punishment. Discipline, sometimes, it may not always be a consequence or a punishment related to the discipline. The discipline is really trying to teach a child the behavior you want them to engage in. And so it's not to control the behavior. It may not be necessarily to stop what's happening right there, but it's really to deal with how to prevent the behavior happening right now today, and the next day, and the next day after that, and the next day after that. Because when you discipline a child, that means that when they leave your presence and go somewhere else, to your mom's house, your cousin's house, school, outside activities, church, that they're going to learn how to behave and behave the desired behavior you've been teaching them, the positive part of it. Okay? So when you're just using the iron fist and you're always just spanking, you're always just punishing, constantly focusing on the negative, then you're not teaching the child the positive thing, the positive behavior that you really want to see from them. Okay? Because you're focusing so much on the negative. And the big difference between discipline and punishment. Punishment is showing a child what not to do. Discipline is showing the child what to do. Okay? Punishment, I want to stop it right now. I want to stop the behavior happening right now. I don't really care. And we hope parents who use punishment, I'm just going to talk about corporal punishment, just for example. Lots of parents who use corporal punishment, yes, we want them to be a teachable moment. And not saying that sometimes you may not spank a child and smack their hand and give them a spank in the butt, but it's always about teaching them and training them. That's what we're here for as parents, to train our children, to teach them, not to punish them, make them feel bad about themselves, not to shame them, humiliate them, not to have them walking around on eggshells, feeling fearful of us. We want them to leave our household, whether they're 3 or whether they're 13, and behave properly when we're not there with the iron fist or the punishment, because everyone can't do what we're going to do, right? Everyone's not going to spank your child. They're not going to have the iron fist like you. They may not do what you're going to do in your household. So your child needs to learn how to engage in some of the positive behaviors, and you're going to teach them at home, so when they leave you, they're going to do it. Yep, what a good question to ask is to see if they understand. So the one thing really, Stacey, when you're doing something, I'll just use an example. Say, she broke her brother's toy, but you have one child, broke her brother's toy or whatever, and you ask them about it and say, some parents will say, why did you do that? Depending on their age, asking them why is really not the big thing. You really ask them about their emotions and what's going on. So what are you feeling right now? When you were breaking that toy, what was going on? What were you thinking about? And then you teach them something. Say, well, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to pick up your books and put them on the shelf. I want you to put them on the shelf like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? And sometimes they say, yeah, because I want to go play. And they say, well, show me what I told you to do. Show me how mommy taught you. And then that's how you kind of see if they know what you're talking about. Or you have them repeat it back. So we're on the same page. Say, for instance, you're doing an older child. So we're on the same page here. You do understand that mommy said if you don't clean up your room, then you're not going to be able to watch your favorite show tonight. So do you understand? Are we clear with that? And so that way you understand that you're talking back to them. Make them repeat it back to you. Have them show it. Show you what you're talking about, whatever that is, what your teachable moment is. Have them show you and repeat it back to you so that they know. Did I answer your question, Stacey? Yeah, makes sense. So I'm just kind of going on here, like I was saying earlier before you guys came on, that April was Child Abuse and Prevention Awareness Month, and somebody's going to be coming on here, popping on here live, here on this page, and maybe on my other page, my personal page, and just talking about some topics that are really relevant to children, because there's lots of things we can do to prevent children from being abused and neglected. And believe it or not, I know we see all the horror stories on TV and all the sex abuse is way out there, but most of the time when parents come before me, at least in my experience and most workers, when they come before us because of abuse and not neglect, but really abuse, they haven't sat there and said, you know what, I'm going to abuse this child and beat them senseless and hurt them. Most of the time, parents end up getting in a situation because they didn't know what to do. They didn't have any other alternatives besides what they've learned. And they may have learned only punishment, to physical discipline, corporal punishment, extreme things. So that's how parents a lot of times get involved in abuse cases with CPS and foster care and all that kind of stuff. Not because they intentionally set out to hurt their child, but in the process of trying to teach them or stop a behavior from happening, they end up doing that. And so, so I hope this helps. I don't want to be on here for a long time, about 5 minutes or whatever, but just remember that discipline and punishment are not the same. Their goal is different, and your results as a parent is going to be different. If you're only punishing, then 9 times out of 10, you're not teaching and training. So always remember that. So thanks for joining me, ladies. I'm going to leave this video up so people can listen to it and hopefully help some people. So catch me next Tuesday with another topic about parenting. If you have a topic you really want me to talk about that's really close and dear to you, shoot me an instant message, okay? And I'll talk about it. Alrighty.